Hello and welcome to Low Budget Gaming and welcome to another Steam Winter Sale video. So this time we are looking at some of the best deals available for less than $5. Now I have selected about 30 games here, but I could have very easily doubled this list and you'll be amazed at the quality of games available here. You have AAA games, you have big RPGs, you have some amazing indie games and some other must-have games that I thought I should mention. So let's first begin with Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I've already covered this, so I'll try and not spend too much time on games I've previously mentioned. Everybody knows this. AAA RPGs from BioWare, 3 of them, 4K remaster, all DLCs included, everything here, over 40 DLCs if I'm not mistaken. And all of this for less than $5 at $479, $399 in the UK, $239 in India. Next we have XCOM 2, so another amazing strategy game, very famous, has spawned a lot of similar games, and this is also only $3. 149 in India, 174 in the UK, 4 in Canada, 249. And then there's also a collection with all the DLCs and stuff, 267 here in India. In the US this is 780, over 5 but still worth it in my opinion. Next we have another mention for State of Decay 2 Juggernaut Edition. So another base building survival game with zombies. I like this quite a lot and this has hit the new highest discount during this sale at 90% off. $3 only, 109 in India, 249 in the UK, 4 in Canada. Next is Titanfall 2. So in my opinion, the best campaign in an FPS game. I really loved this game and this is also overwhelmingly positive from EA and also 90% off. The campaign is on the shorter side, keep that in mind, but it is so cheap that I think it's still worth it. $3, 149 in India, 249 in the UK. Next is Spiritfarer Farewell Edition. This is a emotional story-rich game. It's got some farming elements, some fishing, stuff like that. Very beautiful, great music, and a sort of touching story, you could say. This is 85% off, 195 in India, 449 in the US, 374 in the UK, 584 in Canada. Next is the ever popular Terraria. You can see the overwhelmingly positive reviews, over 1 million reviews here. And this is your open world 2D sandbox crafting survival style game. Play with friends and you can get amazing value out of it. Over 40,000 people currently playing and this game came out in 2011. So this one here you can get for $499, $240 in India, $425 in the UK, $649 in Canada. Next is the Pedestrian. So I wanted to mention a nice sort of, you could say, 2D puzzle platformer where you're basically controlling this guy on the billboards and the boards and you have to go through and complete some puzzles. Nice little game. You can try the demo if you want. And this is 75% off, $499 in the US, $220 in India, $418 in the UK. Next is Rush Rally 3. So if you wanted a classic rally type game from like this, say PS2, PS1 era with better graphics, I suppose. This is an interesting one. It's got very positive reviews. $449, $207 in India. Next we have Batman Arkham Origins. So these are Batman Arkham games are always on sale. This one though has received the highest discount, new low this time. This is 90% off, only 56 rupees, $2, 149 in the UK, 2 in Canada, 2 in the Eurozone. Next is Resident Evil 4. This is the original Resident Evil 4 from 2005. There is a remake of this which is kind of expensive, which came out last year. So if you wanted to try the original, you'll be surprised how well it holds up still graphically. And so this one is $499, $300 in India, $374 in the UK, $499 in Canada, $499 in the Eurozone. Next is Fear. So up until recently, this Fear game, the first one wasn't available directly on Steam. It was on GOG, but now we have the Fear version here. It's called Fear Ultimate Shooter Edition. So I don't know why this is different. They have removed the multiplayer perhaps, but you can also get the complete pack, all 3 games which was available previously as well. But this first game you can get for $2, 73 only in India, 139 in the UK, 2 in Canada, 179 in the Eurozone. So a brutal FPS game where the enemy AI is pretty good. Next is Firewatch, another sort of narrative adventure walking simulator style game. This is one of the more popular ones and this has also seen a new highest discount during this sale at 90% off, $2, 88 rupees, 167 in the UK, 259 in Canada, 195 in the Eurozone. Next is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. So if you are a fan of Star Wars games, this is actually a good Star Wars game made by Respawn, again the same people who made Titanfall. And you can see here almost 87-88% positive reviews, and once again this is 90% off, $4, 219 in India, 349 in the UK, 549 in Canada, 4 in the Eurozone. Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, the first Dragon's Dogma game made by Capcom, and this was originally I think only on PlayStation 3, then came to PC. And if you need another sort of fantasy RPG, sort of like Skyrim, this is a good one, and this is 84% off. Usual price $479 in the US, $288 in India, $384 in the UK, $639 in Canada. Next is Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. So I thought I'll mention one of the early Assassin's Creed games because back then this series was amazing. And also recently Ubisoft seems to have added some achievements on Steam. These games did not have achievements on Steam. So now if you do play them, you'll get all the achievements. If you played them previously, they'll unlock or something, according to what people have told me. 75% off, $187 only in India, $4.99 in the US, $312 in the UK, 5 in Canada, $374 in the Eurozone. At the very least, you could try them and see what they were back then, how good they used to be, and how bad Ubisoft is nowadays. Next, we have the Banner Saga. So another cool game that I heard about a while ago, played it. I bought the trilogy, played a little bit, haven't finished it. But yeah, if you want to try some amazing story-rich game with interesting turn-based strategy, this is a sort of a Viking saga, let's say. And there are 3 games with great music as well. So very interesting, different game if you want to try something. So this is 80% off, $499 in the US, $156 in India, $374 in the UK. There's also a trilogy pack here. You may want to try the first one and see if it is your kind of game, and then get the rest. Next is Red Faction Guerrilla Remastered. So the original game got sort of a remastered version where you are on Mars destroying stuff. And I remember this game being popular for all the destruction, the environmental destruction you got in this one. And so this is also 80% off, $399, $224 in India, $355 in the UK, $549 in Canada. Also, if you previously had this game, the original version, they gave you the remastered version free, so you may already have it if you had the original game. The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing Final Cut. So another trilogy of games, ARPGs, where you play as Van Helsing. And yeah, amazing value. These are not that old, these games. And you get all 3 of them in one nice bundle. So 90% off, $449, $180 in India, $379 in the UK, $579 in Canada. Next is Deep Sky Derelict. So this is a game that I recommend as a game similar to Darkest Dungeon, with some slightly different gameplay mechanics, but the whole idea is similar. You are like a scavenger type of person in space. You go into like derelict space stations, trying to scavenge resources. You run into enemies, and you have the same style of turn-based combat. But instead of having your own moves and stuff, you get cards, and you have to use that and defeat the enemies and collect the loot. And this is 85% off, $299, $132 in India, $254 in the UK, and $389 in Canada. Next is Alien Breed Impacts, another series that I often mention. And this is not just for the first game, the trilogy. And trilogy is less than $2.50, so $229 only. Now these are, you could say, Dead Space style of games in space where you have to fight these alien creatures, and they are in the isometric perspective. And these are twin stick shooters. These are not turn-based or anything. These are like normal real-time combat, but with twin stick shooter elements. So that is why I like this quite a lot. And like I said, the trilogy here is 90% off at $229, $150 in India, $169 in the UK, $229 in Canada. Next is Industria, so another indie FPS game that came out a few years ago. I tried it, played it on stream, really liked it. It reminded me a little bit of Half-Life and other games. There is a sequel also coming out for this game very soon. And it's got some mysterious elements here, dimension travel, things like that. Not a very long game, keep that in mind, so about 3 to 4 hours in length. But it had great potential, did well, and now it's getting a sequel that should continue and finish the story. So this is 75% off, $5, $220 in India, $424 in the UK, $649 in Canada. Next is Deadlight Director's Cut. So I haven't mentioned this game recently. I played it a while ago when I first started the channel. I think I might have made a Let's Play or something as well. But this is during the height of the zombie Walking Dead style of games, how crazy and popular they were. So this is a 2.5D platformer style game with an interesting story, interesting protagonist, and yeah, very interesting game, because a lot of these 2.5D games were popular back then. So I like this one. This was also given away, I think, somewhere but yeah, overall a fun little game. 85% off, 179 in the US, 102 in India, 161 in the UK, 247 in Canada. Next, we have another mention for Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition. If you're looking for a good GTA style alternative, this is one of the best. But to keep in mind, you should be playing this with a controller because the keyboard and mouse controls felt a bit stiff to me. Better with a controller. This is 85% off, $299, 109 in India, 239 in the UK. Another mention for Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor. Amazing action games, third person within the Lord of the Rings universe. And this is the first game. Interesting enemy AI system in this game. The first one is available for less than $5, and of course this is the Game of the Year edition, only $4. You can also get the Shadow bundle, which has the second game, Shadow of War, complete edition of that, and both of these combined will only be $7. If you've never played these games, definitely check these out. Graphically they hold up, action is very satisfying, combat and stuff like that, movement combat. Next is a small indie game, a story about my uncle. So a fun sort of platformer parkour style game in first person with a sort of adventurous story there. Again, a shorter game, but you'll enjoy your time. The gameplay is mostly revolving around sort of trying to parkour and grapple onto different difficult things, and some areas are very interesting where you are like up in the sky in small rocks and going around here. I liked it. I played it a couple of times. 85% off, 224 in the US, 103 in India, 191 in the UK. Next we have Enslaved Odyssey to the West Premium Edition, another adventure game, post-apocalyptic third-person action made by Ninja Theory, the people behind the Hellblade games, and another game I really like and played a long time ago, played it a couple of times. And this is now $299, 196 in India, 224 in the UK, 329 in Canada, 299 in the Eurozone. Next is Binary Domain, another slightly older game made by Sega, third-person shooter. I think this was removed but then came back and is sold again. But yeah, it is again a reasonably priced game, only 95 rupees, $299, 199 in the UK, 339 in Canada, 299 in the Eurozone. And then we have Grim Dawn, so another mention for this because this has also hit a new highest discount. One of the best ARPGs like Diablo style games if you're looking for. One of the best ones there, and this is only $249 for the base game, 110 in India, 209 in the UK, 325 in Canada, 249 in the Eurozone. Tales of Iron is a 2D Souls-like game, very cartoony, humorous, funny music, an interesting art style, also getting a sequel. And this is 90% off, $249, 129 in India, 219 in the UK, 299 in Canada, 249 in the Eurozone. One of my favorite games is Bullets Per Minute. So this is a rhythm FPS game. So there is a music playing in the background and you have to aim, shoot, reload, jump when you are in sync with the music. I mean, you can aim, but your gun won't fire unless you are in sync with the music, which makes it interesting, more challenging. You are sort of a, what are those things called? Valkyrie going through Viking hell, and you have to defeat all these creatures there. And this is procedurally generated. This is a rogue like, so if you die, you start all over again. And you have to finish all the levels. I think there are 8 levels or something. I've actually never finished it. I've reached towards the end, but I refuse to play it on anything other than the hardest difficulty because that is where you get the most satisfaction. This is 75% off, $499, $220 in India, $418 in the UK, $649 in Canada. And then finally, we have Doom 2016, reboot of Doom. Big AAA game, the father of modern FPS games, if you will. And this is less than $5. So $399 in the US, $319 in India, $319 in the UK, $499 in Canada, $399 in the Eurozone. So that is my list of games under $5. I'll try and make more because, like I said, I could have easily made 2-3 videos for best games under $5 because there's so many amazing games. And I think this is enough to give you some amazing quality games, whatever genre you're looking for. But that is it for this one. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.